is that many people, you're doing well, you're well recognized, you're appreciated, and I want to progress, but I don't want to make a big mistake. Okay, I don't want to try something new that I'm not competent in. I might look like a fool. Okay, so their level of fear about trying something new holds them back. So let's just say you're very poor at public speaking, and you are asked, your boss asks you to make a presentation on his behalf in front of the management team. And oof, I don't really want to do it. I don't know how it's going to turn out, how they will see me. You're not feeling too good about it, okay? And then your boss tells you, oh, I'm not even going to be present. Something has come up. You're going to have to represent the whole department. Your level of fear will rise, and the level of risk will also rise because you don't have any backup. All right. And then you hear, oh, and one of our board members is visiting the office that day. So the board member is going to be in at that meeting, and you go, oh my God, I'm going to be exposed. I'm not good at public speaking. My boss is not going to be there. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, you don't want to do this, but then you also realize that it's a fantastic opportunity for you. Okay. And then finally, your head of HR hears about it and says, oh, this is very important. You're making a presentation. We've got a board member there. I have to be present. And I'm going to invite the company secretary to also come, you know, so that I can introduce them to the board member. So the key decision makers in your career are now going to see you make a presentation when it isn't your strength. So you have a choice. Are you going to stay in your comfort zone and make an excuse to your boss that, oh, I'm not feeling well. Can you choose somebody else? Or you just find a reason not to do it because it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And then there's a risk that you will do it badly. Okay. Or are you going to push yourself beyond your fear into the growth zone? Okay. Nobody is saying the growth zone doesn't have risks, but if you don't take that risk and go for it, you will not grow. You cannot progress, okay? The fear will not go away. You have to do it despite the fear, but you can manage the fear. How? By preparing, by practicing, by practicing and getting feedback from some other people, by inviting some other people to be there in the room with you to give you moral support, by asking your boss to give you a special coaching session. You know, you can prepare and then take the risk, because if you stay in your comfort zone, you will not grow. So to get promoted, you have to take some risks. You will only do this presentation poorly once. If you do it poorly once, you will learn from the experience and you will do it better the next time. And finally, self-promotion. You have to promote yourself. You'll be very lucky if your work speaks for you. But even if your work speaks for you, it doesn't mean that you are the person they will reward with a promotion. They might just say, this person is really good at their work. Let's retain them in their current role. Let's keep them doing the same thing that they've been doing in their current role. Okay? You have to speak for yourself. Definitely speak to your boss. Let your boss know your ambitions. But you have to speak for yourself. When you're introducing yourself, you have to share your impact. You have to share your achievements. You have to share what you want. Okay? And if you don't have opportunities to promote yourself, because not everybody does, you have to create opportunities or seek opportunities to showcase yourself. And what does showcasing yourself mean? Look at, it's nothing crazy. It's knowing yourself, having a plan, marketing, letting your connections, starting with your family. I know some people who have influential family members. Even their influential family members don't know their aspirations or their goals. And even the family members who are not influential, they might have friends, they might have colleagues. And when they're talking to their friend or their colleague, and their friend and colleague says, oh, I'm looking for somebody who is an expert with artificial intelligence, they say, oh yeah, I have a cousin, my cousin or my younger sister is really good at that. Okay, so let everybody around you know what you want to achieve and why. Let them know what you're good at. Okay, network and then celebrate your accomplishments. So I want you to guess, out of these three, your performance, the work that you do, the impact of your work, and your visibility, whether people in the organization know your name. If your name is mentioned, they know who they're talking about. Out of 100%, what percentage contributes to getting you promoted? Is it the quality of your work? What percent would you give the quality of your work out of 100%? What percentage would you give to the impact of your work? Please type the percentages in the chat. Please type your guess. I want everyone to guess. What percentage would you give out of 100 to the impact of your work? And what percentage would you give to exposure? Okay, so would you give, somebody saying exposure is the highest. So how much would you give in exposure? 50%, 40%? What percentage would you give to work? What percentage would you give to the impact of your work? So I'd like in the chat, what percentage would you give to each of these three elements in terms of what gets you promoted? Is it your work and your performance? Is it the impact of your work? Or is it your exposure and visibility? People seeing you, knowing you, recognizing you. What do you think gets you promoted? I want to see some guesses in the chat, please. Out of 100%, what would you? Okay, Maha is saying 60 for exposure, 50 for performance. Okay, that leaves, yeah, okay. 50 and 60, that's more than 100%. Okay, so it has to total 100%, yeah? So I got 60 for impact, quality of work, 50. Okay. All right. Let's have a few more guesses, please. Few more guesses. Let's have a few more guesses. Okay. Hanan is saying exposure 70%, impact 20%, work 10%. Okay. Very close. So your work it only counts for 10%. Why? If your work is not already good, you cannot get promoted. You're not a candidate for promotion if your work is not good. So you are competing with other people whose work is good already. Okay, so your work only contributes 10% to getting you promoted. However, if your work is not good, you will not be a candidate for promotion in the first place. The impact of your work contributes 30%. So your boss will say, oh yeah, this person was very instrumental. He or she was the one who delivered that report that got us that work. Wow, that's really good. The impact of your work will contribute 30%. However, overwhelmingly, what gets you promoted is visibility. People knowing who you are. People seeing you on LinkedIn, delivering a talk, at a meeting, making a presentation, at a work event, being one of the people doing a vote of thanks, or being an organizer. When they mention your name at the promotion panel, people need to be able to recognize, oh yes, I know that person. That is the person who. So to get promoted, your visibility is the most important thing. How visible are you in your current organization? Do the decision makers, do the people who decide who gets promoted, do they know who you are? Do they know what you're good at? Do they know whether you are ambitious? Do they know your aspirations? So we're going to assess ourselves very quickly. Ololade, I've got a member of my team is here. Ololade, can you please put the link in the chat? So, and those of you, you can just take a picture of the QR code with your phones. I've got a survey, a short survey with some questions to see how well you have distinguished yourself. Distinguishing yourself means how well have you made yourself stand out so that people will recognize you, so that you will be visible in the organization. That is what it means. So I'd like everybody to please take this survey to distinguish yourself. Let me put it in the chat. It's not in the chat already. So let's do this right now. I've just put the link to the survey in the chat. Let's do this right now. Please assess yourself. how visible are you in your current workplace? Please assess yourself. How visible are you in your current workplace? And I'll be monitoring your responses as they come in. I'll show your responses as they come in. Okay, how visible are you in your current workplace? I hope you're all taking the survey. Okay, please take the survey. The link to the survey is in the chat, and I'm monitoring the responses as they come in. And what we want to know is how well or how poorly you are doing in your quest for visibility. Let us know what your score is. Is your score under 50 points, between 50 and 70, or above 70? How well are you doing making yourself visible in your workplace? That's the key ingredient to getting yourself promoted. 60% is related to visibility. Okay. Okay. So I'm still waiting for the responses to come in. Still waiting for the responses to come. Okay, we've got some responses coming in. It's looking good, not bad. I'd like everyone to complete the survey, and then we will share the results with the organizers so that they can share the results with you. Okay, so assess yourself. This is part of self-awareness. Assess yourself. So I've spoken about your profile already. Please manage your profile. With AI, artificial intelligence, you can ask ChatGPT to assess your profile for you and assess your CV and provide tips on how to improve it. So just copy your CV, post it into ChatGPT, ask it, tell it, this is what I'm looking for, this is my ambition, please review my CV and optimize it for that role. The same thing with your LinkedIn profile. I've spoken about this a bit as well. So with your LinkedIn profile, you can also generate your CV from LinkedIn. Many people don't know that. So just go to LinkedIn, click on my profile, view my profile, and then click on more. And then it will ask you whether you want it to generate your CV, and it will help you generate a modern CV and format it. You can also use Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word has its integrated its artificial intelligence into some of its templates, and it can also help you generate a fantastic CV. Keep your CV up to date. As you have new accomplishments, as you have new experiences, as you have new achievements, make sure you update your CV or update your profile. Try to be more active on LinkedIn. Respond to articles that interest you or posts that interest you. Share your own expertise, right? Put your own expertise, share your own passions, share your own achievements, especially ways to help other people. That will increase your profile, and that will increase your visibility. And when your employers see that, wow, we have an employee, very quiet employee, but my goodness, they have so many followers on LinkedIn, and they're a thought leader, they write articles, then they will appreciate you more and recognize you more. So I'll just share, I think most of you should know this about the research done by Albert Merabian on communication. It's also linked to what gets you promoted, because your personal impact is so important. And many people focus on the words that they say, and they don't focus enough on their tone of voice and on their body language. So what communicates the most? It's not the content of what you say. The content of what you say, just like your work, is very important. Selecting the right words is very important, but you have to say it in the right tone of voice. So I can say to you, good evening. You won't really believe I'm saying good evening to you. I could say to you, good evening. Yeah, she sounds interested. She sounds good, but she doesn't really feel, look, or sound like she's interested in me. But if I say, good evening, and I'm smiling, I'm leaning forward, I'm making eye contact, then you will believe me. So please, many people don't pay enough attention to their body language and to their tone of voice. Your personal impact is very important when you're talking about rising to the top. Become more conscious of using your hands. Make sure your words are matching your movements of your hands. With eye contact, some cultures like eye contact, some cultures don't like eye contact. They consider eye contact disrespectful. What I suggest you do, look between the eyebrows here, the T-zone, or look at the person's forehead. Don't look away from them. Don't look over their head when you're talking to them, okay? Look at them when you're talking to them. Don't have a flat tone of voice that doesn't change irrespective of what you're saying. Convey your excitement, convey your sadness with your tone of voice to really have personal impact when you are communicating. Your personal impact is critical if you want to get yourself promoted. And something that affects women more than men, although it affects both, is confidence level, being confident, demonstrating confidence. So women's confidence increases as their experience increases. I'd like to ask you to disconnect your experience from your confidence. Be confident in yourself as a person. Be confident in yourself as a person who can learn, a person who can learn from mistakes, okay? A person who's ready to experience things. Have that confidence going in, okay? And demonstrate that confidence. And when you make a mistake, apologize with confidence. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a really bad mistake. I've learned a lot from it and I'm gonna make sure I don't do it again. Don't run away and hide because you make mistakes. Failure is the best teacher, and the most successful people have had a lot of failures that they have learned from, okay? So ladies, while you're suffering from your lack of self-confidence, you're losing opportunities. I've spoken to board members, directors, about why their board of directors doesn't have a lot of women. And they tell me that they have invited women, competent women, to their boards, but the women, I don't think I'm board ready yet. They lack confidence. They turn down those opportunities because of lack of confidence. So women lose a lot of opportunities because of lack of confidence. Please disconnect your confidence from your experience. Have confidence that you can learn from any experience. You can learn from mistakes, and when opportunities present themselves, just like the men, go for it and do your best. Okay, when I talk to my male colleagues, that's what they tell me. They go for it, they do their best. And how do you know whether you should go for it or not? You can ask yourself these 3 questions. If I go for it, what's the worst that can happen? If the worst happens, can I live with it? Okay, how likely is the worst to happen? Now, this is very interesting because when I talk to men, I ask them about likelihood. They say, well, 80%, it's only 20% likelihood that it will happen. And I say, oh, 20% likelihood. They say, yeah, but that means I have an 80% chance of success. So I'm going for it. For a man, 20% likelihood of something happening means 80% likelihood of success, which is a very high likelihood of success. For some women, if I tell them there's a 5% likelihood it will happen, they're like, what? 5%? And they don't go for it. Even though 5% likelihood is a 95% likelihood that it will, of success, that it will not happen. Okay, so ladies, if you have a majority, if you got a 60% likelihood of success, 70%, 80%, 90%, go for it. Even 50%, go for it. And ask yourself the third question. If the worst happens, can I deal with it? And if you can deal with it, throw yourself out of your comfort zone into the growth zone and see what happens. Okay? The self-doubt will be there. The fear will be there. Overcome all those things. They are holding you back. Challenge your negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. When something in your head is telling you, nah, you can't do it, you'll go there and disgrace yourself. You ask yourself, have I disgraced myself anywhere I have been so far? Have I been unable to learn any tasks that have been set for me so far? And if the answer is no, then go for it. And if you register your track record, if you're noting down your achievements, if you're asking people, what am I good at? What did I do right? What advice would you have for me? Then you will be able to shut down those self-doubts, those limiting thoughts in your mind. So it is 4:30 now. So I think at this point, I should stop, but I'm going to stop with this exercise. It's a standing exercise. So I'm going to stand up, and I'd like each of you to stand up as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions. And if your answer to any of these questions is no, then I want you to sit down. So please, everybody, stand up wherever you are. Stand up. And remember, if the answer to any of these questions is no, sit down. So here's the first question. I am comfortable meeting new people in social situations. If the answer is yes, keep standing. If the answer is no, sit down. I am able to say no without feeling guilty or anxious. I can express strong feelings such as anger, frustration, or disappointment. I can discuss my beliefs without judging those who don't agree with me. I am able to acknowledge and take responsibility for my own mistakes. I feel capable of learning new things and performing new tasks. So remember, if you answer no to any of these questions, sit down. If you answer yes, keep standing. I can easily request help and information from others. I am able to express my honest opinion to others, even if they don't agree. I tell others when their behavior is not acceptable to me. I can assert my beliefs when the majority disagrees with me. I believe my needs are as important as those of others and should be considered. I can speak confidently in group situations. I can express anger or disappointment without blaming others. I am comfortable delegating tasks to others. And finally, I value my own experience and wisdom. So who is still standing? How many of us are still standing? If you're still standing, give me a thumbs up. If you're still standing, give me a thumbs up. Go to the reaction icons on the Zoom toolbar and give me a thumbs up. Okay? So it's important to be assertive. If you answered no to more than 10, you have a lot of work cut out for you. So please be more assertive. Have your goal, position yourself, seek opportunities, present yourself as a contender, as a candidate, okay? Demand recognition, demanding without being aggressive, okay? It just means Don't hold yourself back. Go forward and say, I don't understand. I met my targets. I helped other teams achieve their goals. You know, I don't understand why I'm not in the promotion list for this year. Okay, that's very, very important. You have to play politics. Okay, there's this framework about organizational politics. What you want to aim for is to be a wise owl. What many people who work hard and who are performers and don't advance, they tend to be innocent lambs. An innocent lamb is unaware of politics and trustworthy. Okay, they tend to be left behind. You have this clever rat who tends to move ahead very fast, but when they get to the top, they can't stay there. And you have the inept goat who tries to play politics, but doesn't know how to do it very, very well because they're very self-centered and they crash and burn all the time. So what you want to do, you want to be involved in politics and you want to be trustworthy. You want to be a wise owl. And this wise owl behavior can be very difficult for women because we're expected to behave innocent. We're not expected to know what's going on around us. We're expected to be nice. And sometimes being at work, being nice is not supposed to be part of your job description. Being fair, yes, okay. Being nice, not necessarily. Women, we negotiate for other people, we don't negotiate for ourselves, okay? So always negotiate for the best position for yourself and stand firm. And we're not comfortable being disliked. You're not at work, it's not a popularity contest. You're not at work to be liked. You're also not at work to be wicked, right? But if somebody doesn't like you, it's okay. You can keep working with them, all right? So develop your political skills. I'll share this presentation with all of you. Definitely get a mentor, somebody who can become a sponsor, somebody who can speak about you and speak for you when you're not around. And take those risks, get out of your comfort zone, get into your growth zone, network. There are certain activities that we can help you do as a coach, like drawing your personal network map, drawing your organization's power map, so you know how to navigate and who can assist you. And then definitely, if you have a boss, make sure your boss is an advocate. It's going to be very difficult for you to progress if your boss is not an advocate. And I do know that sometimes your boss might be the problem. Okay, you do have some bosses that are the problem. That is another question altogether. Okay, that has to be tackled with a different approach. But if your boss is not the problem, then your boss needs to be an advocate for you. And one of the reasons why many women don't progress, right, is because of point 3 here. You're too valuable. Your boss doesn't want you to leave. You're so good at your job, you've become indispensable. So what you need to let your boss know is that, look, I know I help a lot. I know you rely on me, but these are my ambitions. These are my aspirations. And if I'm not able to pursue them here, right, because you're holding me back, then I'll have to pursue them somewhere else. And you're not saying it as a threat. You're just letting your boss know that this is talent that you want to retain within your ranks, okay? And you can let your boss know that, look, I'll make sure I prepare my successor. I will hand over properly. I'll be available to coach the person so the person can do the job as well as I can. But very often, that's one of the reasons why you don't progress as well, because they like you where you are. So interventions that can support career progression, training, definitely, coaching, mentoring, flexible working, remote working, certain benefits that will help a woman cope with being a woman in the workplace and, you know, playing her societal role as well. Networks, professional associations, organizations like ICF, if you want to become a coach. And of course, diversity awareness training for the people who often, the middle managers, who are often the barriers to progression. So just some key points to close. I'd like to say, don't assume you have to leave your workplace. Check your goals. Be ready for opportunities in advance, okay? Check what the criteria are. Make sure that you are ready in advance. Build advocates, you know, cultivate relationships in your family, your friends, your social circle, your workplace. Cultivate relationships, your professional associations. Make sure you have your development plan. I've said that many times now this evening. Know your value, communicate your value. Don't expect people to know without you communicating. They can't read your mind, right? Have a transition plan to move from one role to the other, because sometimes that might be the problem. They don't want to let you go. And, you know, each individual situation is unique. So talk with HR, talk to a mentor, talk to a coach for assistance in navigating your path. So thank you very much. I think we've got about 20 minutes available for Q&A. So I'll stop sharing now and over to you, Amira.